Nicolai Due-Gundersen is a political analyst at Kingston University London. I asked him about the impact of the call between President Trump and President Erdogan.
Yes, Erdogan and Trump have always had a very precarious relationship. They've butted heads quite often, so I was surprised by the phone call. At the same time, for Syria, for many players in Syria, it's almost a zero-sum game. And already we're seeing with the withdrawal of U.S. troops, Russia is looking to fill that void. Russia continues to support Assad quite strongly. And of course, they're doing so because they believe that in exchange for that support, in exchange for maintaining the status quo, once the war's over, there will be a lot of rewards for Putin.
And the Kurds, they're really kind of backed into a corner. The U.S. moving out, they don't have that ally present, now moving towards Assad. What do we make of all of that?
Well, this is most unfortunate for a variety of reasons. I mean, firstly, the Kurds have been now taught, don't trust Trump, don't trust the United States. We also have to remember that the Kurds have been cooperating with the U.S. forces in fighting ISIS, and this is going to be a problem. Now what's happening is that instead of paying attention to ISIS fighters who have been jailed, instead of guarding those jails, many Kurdish militias have been pushed to the front line to deal with the Turkish incursion, and we're seeing ISIS prisoners escaping.
So is it likely we'll see a resurgence of ISIS?
That is one of the things a lot of analysts are afraid of, that this withdrawal is going to feed into such an impact. Now, of course, one thing that may happen is the Russians may turn around and say, well, we will deal with ISIS. Turkey may also do that. But at the same time, the Kurds were a valuable ally for the Americans, and now that is no longer the case. And of course, another issue here is, are the Kurds going to turn around and empower Assad and the Russians?
And then Erdogan, he's playing obviously to a domestic audience with his efforts here. How does this all work out for him politically?
Yes, when Erdogan first ventured into Syria, at first, his approval ratings for such operations were not too bad. Now, of course, what we're seeing is Erdogan is saying we need to deal with the Syrian refugee crisis. Turkey has become very hostile towards Syrian refugees, and this is why Erdogan is so desperate to create a so-called safe zone somewhere in Syria to basically offload this problem, which is very sad to see. Now, I do believe, however, that Russia is still steering the relationship in Syria between Erdogan and Putin. They have a much stronger hand in Syria, and already they are coming down quite hard on Erdogan for his Turkish incursion. They're telling him, no, you're going to have to set limits to this. I do believe Putin does lead this relationship, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see, again, Russia being more empowered than Turkey right now.
And the Turkish president once again reiterating on Tuesday that he's trying to eliminate a terror threat. The U.S. now moving forward on sanctions against Turkey. There's backlash from NATO countries as well. So how do you see all of this playing out? Is there anything or anyone that can stop or end this Turkish offensive? And of course, in a larger context, we've seen so much bloodshed in Syria. What do we see there moving forward?
I think, unfortunately, we're going to see a lot more bloodshed happening, certainly more internally displaced persons. Already we've seen a lot of Kurdish civilians who have been put in that situation. I also think that right now, I don't think the Turkish incursion will stop immediately. Russia will eventually come down, but again, why are they coming down? They're coming down because they want to call in their own debts. Putin has supported Assad from the beginning. It's not about being decent, it's about business in Syria. And so I think that when the US has withdrawn from Syria, or from northern Syria in this case, of course it will empower the Russians to push further.
Analysis from Nicolai Due-Gundersen.